Welcome back, ladies and gents, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Now, the subject of condensation is not a glamorous one or a fun one. It is something that we do deal with out here in this cabin. My research has shown me, and of course, this is something that I learned after we got the cabin, but that's fine. We'll figure it out. My research has shown me, just by looking online, that these tiny homes and these shipping containers in general are prone to condensation a little bit more just because of their size versus a house. Now, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a construction guy. If you know anything else on this subject, please put it in the comments below. I definitely want to learn, and this is probably one of these topics that people are going to want to try to learn. So please share if you know anything. But like, for example, tonight, it is a winter day, as you can tell, and it will be cold tonight. We will be cranking the heater. We'll be nice and toasty in there, and it'll be freezing out here. And we have some parts and places in the cabin that really will take on moisture, and we've kind of learned to Band-Aid those. So what we're trying to do is, where do we go from here to fix it? We will be probably moving this cabin, and when we move it, we want things to be a lot more permanent and a lot more set in. So that's kind of what this video is about. But I'm going to stop talking. Let's go on and get inside this cabin here and take a look and show you guys what's going on. So the first thing I want to explain is the heat source. So we just use this regular old basic oil heater. I like these because they don't get super hot. I don't think there's as much risk to catch something on fire or burn yourself. And they're a very gradual increase in heat. We started using this once we were on the grid and had electrical. Before that, we did run like one of those little buddy heaters that you can see. Now, those little buddy heaters on propane will heat you out of this freaking thing. But the condensation from that propane heater was ridiculous. We did get better with this, and I like the even cooling. So I do like this heater, but I'm wondering if there's maybe another method for heating in here that would be better, because I did do some research and I was actually shocked to find out different types of heat source put off different, I don't know what it is they put off, but it helps the condensation sometimes. So I would be open for that. So the problem areas that we get are pretty obvious. Now we get the windows here. So here's our main, this is the money shot window, right? This is the one in the front. And this thing will actually get pretty dang damp all the way around the frame, all the way down. And this doesn't bother me as bad, just because all of this is just like PVC stuff. None of this is wood. You've either got metal, PVC, or glass, or whatever. This is plastic. I don't know. Whatever this is made out of. It's not wood. Let's just put it that way. But I still don't want water sitting. So what I do is, especially when we wake up in the morning, is I will take that window up there, open it up, and then it'll actually literally just let air flow through. This window back here as well will get some condensation, but what I normally do in the morning is I either take a paper towel on it or I just open it. So if I'm like going to wake up and deer hunt, I'll leave the windows cracked all afternoon, which is what I'll be doing tomorrow morning, and then it'll just flow all the way through. And that usually helps dry it off. Now, that is not probably the best solution in the world, but that is what's been working for us. Also, we do have a little dehumidifier. You can see that one there. That is an Amazon special. This thing, I don't even know if I should even upgrade that. That thing was so freaking cheap. Maybe we go with something else. Just for reference on the size, here's my hand, and I don't have big hands. So that is a very small dehumidifier right there. But we run that really close to this window just because that was the main area that we were getting the condensation. And it does make it feel a little bit better in here. These windows over here, they are not as bad. These are also the same. I guess it's the PVC they call them or whatever. But these will get a little bit here on the edges. So the windows, I mean, I could live with it, I think, but I really think the windows is probably more of a ventilation issue than it is anything else, because you're not going to change the fact that it's going to be really cold out there and so it's going to be really hot in here. So I don't know. I don't know if there's anything I can do with that other than just maybe, I mean, I guess I could open them up at night, but man, when it gets really, really cold, I just do not like that breeze coming in. My biggest concern is down here. And I didn't realize this until probably after coming out here about 5 or 6 times. So we've got a shelf right here, as you can see. Yes, it's a really cheap shelf. By the way, everything in this cabin is cheap. I don't want to call it junk, but it's cheap enough that if something happens to it, I just don't care. Although that bed frame isn't IKEA, and that was a nightmare to get together, but you know, as is everything from IKEA. But what we've got is this floor gets really cold because all you have underneath here, where you have this vinyl plank, whatever stuff it is, and it's pretty cool. I like the looks of it. And underneath here is literally plywood. and then underneath that is the ground. So this floor gets really cold, and you need to be wearing some fluffy socks. Now that's fine. That doesn't bother me. This is more, this is kind of like glorified fancy camping. So I'm not looking for all the luxuries. The problem is under here. So under that bed, as well as under this shelf, you can get some moisture. And I don't like it because I don't want moisture getting up under this floor and getting on the plywood, or somehow getting in my walls, which would not be cool because there are 2x4s in there and I don't want mold growing. So what we've been doing is running a fan. This is a very cheap fan, and I have not tried to replace this simply because I'm looking for some better options. We'll run that fan, and I'll kind of put it at an angle here, and it'll just keep some circulation going. And the fan's also very close to where the heater is, and it'll help suck some hot air in there. And that does keep it dry. I mean, you will wake up in the morning and the underside of that bed will be completely dry. So that does work. I just hate running a fan. And if I ever turn this thing into like an Airbnb or something like that down the road, I don't want Band-Aids. I want stuff to work. So I don't know. I don't know where to go from here. So again, my Band-Aids are working. I run the fan to keep that clean down there. And of course, I've got my dehumidifier, and then I open my windows. And it works. It keeps it dry. And I really try to make sure that when I leave, everything is dried out because I don't want to seal this box up and then have moisture staying in here. So now the million-dollar question is, where do we go from here? So we know our Band-Aids work. We got the fan there. I think this is the best heater for this application. Dehumidifier, and of course we open our windows there. And then that window in the morning just to help kind of dry it up. I don't know if there's a whole lot I can do with the windows themselves unless I put in some type of a ventilation on the cabin. So if anybody knows of a really good ventilation setup that could attach to the side of these, I'm all ears, even though I'm really squeamish about doing it. I don't like the idea of cutting into this cabin, but if I ever want to make this thing something much better and maybe make it an Airbnb, I'd like to have something like that just so it's comfortable for people, and quite frankly, they're not dealing with condensation. So that might be a solve there. The heater, I love how this heater works because it's even. So what happens is it'll come on, even when it switches off, from once it reaches temperature, this will stay hot. So it's kind of like it's a very subtle heating. It's great. It's much better than one that just gets really hot and then just shuts right off. And then the floor. The floor is the one thing I'm kind of talking myself into now as I look at it about fixing. And the reason is because like right now it's upper 40s, low 50s. I'm walking around in here in socks and this floor is cold. Now it's not that cold inside the cabin, but this floor is really cold. So what I could do is I could actually rip up this trim, which would be easy enough, and I could probably save it, pull this floor up, do half of the cabin, move everything to one side, do half of the cabin, and then move everything back over, or just move it out the front door for that matter, and get it done. I would only need to do roughly 18 by 8 feet. It's 18 because we have, if you remember, we got about 2.5-ish or 2.5, or excuse me, 2 feet-ish or whatever of space out there. So it's not the full 20. It wouldn't be that hard to do because you're talking about a literal box. So I don't know. Maybe that's the next step we go. But again, if you guys have comments, let me know because I'd love to learn. So that's where I think we're going to end up at, ladies and gents. Probably going to start with the floor first. When we do, we will definitely let you guys know and take you along for the ride, and maybe we can solve that problem. Well, ladies and gents, we're going to wrap this video up right here. I thank you so much for watching, and of course, I hope this was useful or helpful for someone. I know me, I'm just trying to learn. That's all I'm doing. I'm trying to share with you guys, so hopefully this thing will get better as we go. I'm also going to put down in the description below a link to our No Rules Life Garage page if you'd like to go check that out. But as always, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we will chat with you folks next time.